Hello and welcome to this week's Reds Report, part of the TalkSport network of fans, and of course, as always, powered by the best of Barnsley. Time to introduce my two co-hosts. We're not rhyming this week because there's so much to go through, lads. We're straight into it. A very warm welcome to Ian from the Tigers blog. Evening, Ian.
Evening, Carlo. Evening, Steve.
Good evening.
And they're laid on his bed for those of you watching on YouTube. There's no need for an OnlyFans because this is your film.
Wow. Why does anybody want to watch us? I just don't understand it. Can't understand. We talk crap. We don't look crap at all today. I am trying to shave.
Listen, there's going to be a version of Love Island for the over 40s, and I'm thinking, well, you're married now, I can't send you, but that would have been ideal. Anyway, enough about
that. I'll pack now.
Lads, let's get straight into it. Various opinions. A loss is a loss, and a 2-0 loss away at Charlton is not the result we wanted. Some people say that the performance might have been a bit better, but then you look at 22 shots, and was it 2 on target or whatever? I mean, it tells a story, Ian, that we keep telling week in, week out now, don't we? Especially for the last few weeks or since the turn of the year.
Yeah, Adam Oxley said it last week, didn't he? When he said it might not be the result, but they need some performances. And I didn't see it myself, but I think sort of the write-ups say it all, don't they? 20-odd shots, which is good at somewhere like Charlton, which is not an easy place to go. And they're on a bit of an upward trajectory with Dean Holden, but you've got to score first. We know this season when we concede, we generally don't get anything out of the game. So we're our own worst enemy, were we not? Probably.
Yeah, Steve, if you didn't look at the score, you look at the stats: 23 shots for Barnsley, 2 on target, 8 for Charlton, 4 on target. Barnsley had 64% of the possession, nearly double the amount of passes. We had a higher pass accuracy. We had less fouls. We had more yellow cards. Besides, obviously, I don't know, service to the strikers and people taking the chances. What does that tell us? Because if you just look at the stats, you think that's a decent match, but you can't have all that possession and all those passes and all this without at least getting a draw. Then surely,
yeah, you need some end product with that, don't you? I was speaking to a guy at work today. Yes, I have been to work before you add anything to that. And he went, and he said, as a performance, we played quite well. We created some chances, like quite a lot of chances. Hit bar twice, but there's just no result at the end of it, is there? It's no good being a better team, but not getting anything out of it. It's just, I mean, I watched the first half. I didn't watch the second half, and we look to be playing some decent football. We look to be in control quite a lot of the time, but then, it's what it says in top left-hand corner at screen at end of 90 minutes that matters, and 2-0's no good.
Yeah. Lots of talk since the turn of the year as well about the transfer period, and then the news came yesterday that we signed a wizard for the right wing. No, it's not Harry Potter, but it's his second cousin removed, Barry Cotter.
How long did it take you to get that one worked out?
To be fair, Adam told me before I went on Football Heaven yesterday, and I thought nobody's heard this. It went offline, so I'll use it anyway. If you look at this lad, Barry Noel Cotter, he's 24 years old. What I like on Wikipedia, it says that he's 6 foot and a quarter inch, and I suppose that quarter will make all the difference. Career started Limerick, off to Ipswich, loans off to Shamrock, loan to St Patrick's, and now signed for Barnsley for a deal that's believed to be in the region of £20,000. I know I've seen social media, Steve, people saying, underwhelming, but realistically, given the financial climate, given the club lost loads of money on the relegation, given the fact that Jordan Williams, who we'll talk about in a bit, is still with us, is he, do you think, somebody that is going to be developed and a challenge for places? Or do you keep in the back of mind the rumours that are floating about and he's going to be our new regular starter on the right wing?
Well, first and foremost, we've said it for the last 2 or 3 shows. We want quality bringing in. And if he is quality at £20,000, fantastic. I don't mind if it's 20,000, 200,000 or 2 million. As long as there's quality coming in that's better than what we've got, I'm not bothered about price. Now, this young lad, like you say on Twitter, there's many a comment. Some have said he'll not make it, he's not good enough. Some have said that he will. You know what? I'll make my mind up when I see him play. We don't play on Twitter, although a lot of people seem to. You know what? Let's watch him. Let's see what he can do first before we start slagging lad off.
Yeah, it's a big move for him. This is sort of like the second spell for him, Ian, in England, having been at Ipswich. And it's horrible, isn't it? How a proportion of fans write him off, either because we just paid £20,000 for him, or because he played in the League of Ireland. But it's not unlike Barnsley and their sort of recruitment methods and spreadsheets and databases to every now and then unearth a gem. Could that be Barry Cotter?
It could be. There's no reason why not. Like Steve says, proof will be in the pudding when we see him, won't we? Whether he's one for the future and he's used sparingly this season, don't know. With the injuries, he could be chucked right in. I think Duff said he needs a pre-season, doesn't he? So because their season finish in November or something.
Yeah. So
probably won't see him Saturday, but why not? You know. I know it might be a big leap, but didn't Roy Keane come from Cork? You know, and there are players that can be found in those leagues. The lad clearly is excited about the move. It's a great motivation for him. Let's see what he can do. Will he be our number one? We don't know. Everybody keeps thinking he'll just replace Williams or go to Preston, but I think that's just all a load of baloney that people have jumped all over on the internet.
Yeah, somebody posted it, and then suddenly I know there's a link between their manager and Williams because he's played under him before, but we'll go on that in a minute. And what has been confirmed is that Jasper Moons is going out on loan. He's going to Burton, so staying in the league. And Duff said in the press conference today that you know, he trains really, 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 really well, and I think that's great. But you know, he's been on the bench. I think he's only been called upon when there has been an injury, because in that position we've got we had our preferred back three, and then through injury, obviously Edwards, and now he's out, so I'm sure probably Williams or whoever will play there. No matter what we think of Jasper Moons and his ability to play in this league, for the lad, as a young lad, as a product of the academy, it's good for him, isn't it, to go out and. A bit like Adebayo, isn't it? And let's face it, he's smashing it, isn't he, for Burton, 13 goals. Is this, do you think, the making of Jasper Moons, or is this the start of the end for Jasper Moons at Barnsley, Steve?
It might be the start of him going to Wigan, where things are going down there. Although they've got deducted 3 points, apparently, I've read today, so that'll be our fault as well, no doubt.
Yeah,
I don't know. Again, from what I've seen of him, maybe this is his level. Maybe this level is even too high. I don't know. We've not seen a very good Jasper Moons, I don't think. Maybe Burton. Maybe he'll find his footballing brain, his footballing feet, and he will come back a better player. But like Ian said last week, he needed to go out and get some football. Maybe second division would have been a better bet, but
I mean, obviously Burton came in, but I think for a lot of Barnsley fans, it's the opinion that a lot of them have that this level might just be a step too far so early for him. But Burton, obviously, Ian, see different, and you know, you can't deny that what they've done with Adebayo, and they've made him into a baller. They might be able to do the same with Jasper Moons.
Yeah. Maybe. I read. See, I thought it might have been. I didn't realise his contract was up in the summer, which surprised me really. And I think that could be his last game for Barnsley, because had he maybe had another 18 months or something, I would have thought, let's see what he can do, and we can always bring him back, and they'll develop our player. I don't think that's going to happen. Like Steve said, there's been times where I've thought myself, League Two maybe is his level. Fair play to him for like Duff says, for knuckling down in training and not sort of resting on his laurels or spitting his dummy out. He's been professional enough, but he's like we said recently, he's taking a space on the bench, and if he's not being played, let him go and get some football somewhere. And if it develops him as a player for another club, fair play. But I just think when we get McCarthy and Cundy back, and I just can't see him in a red shirt for me. I think that's it from a Barnsley point of view.
It is, and I get it, and it's good for the lad as a player. But McCarthy is out, Edwards has gone back, Cundy is out. Do we read into this that no matter what, he probably wasn't good enough for this team? Maybe not this division, but this team, and therefore, because it does leave us thin at the back, Steve, doesn't it?
Well, I think I commented on Twitter earlier on that Cundy's out for 2 or 3 weeks, and that best news I've had today. But yeah, it does raise that question now. What is he going to do? Is it going to be a back three of Kitchen, Anderson, and Williams, because he has played in that position before, and then probably Cadden on one side and another on the right hand side?
I would presume we play because Lakash came on, didn't he? Against
You would think so, yeah. Am I right in thinking, and he'll tell me this because he's a font of all knowledge, that is it that Charlie Wellens played at the beginning of the week at Mansfield?
Is he Richie Wellens' lad?
Apparently so. And that was something else I got told today, which I didn't realise. But yeah, apparently so.
Wait, there's the other lad as well they've got from Burnley. I mean, whether he'll slot in.
Yeah.
Who was on the bench at Charlton. I don't know whether he'll slot it. I mean, we sort of said on WhatsApp, didn't we, today? And I think you called it right, Carlo. I could see Williams being the right where Edwards goes, the right of the three, and then maybe somebody with a bit of pace where Williams would go. So whether that's Lakash or somebody. But then maybe they'll throw the other new lad in who's on loan from Burnley.
Yeah. Is he fit?
A few options, not many, but we've got a few.
Is he fit, though? That's the thing.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Is he another one that we've signed that's 2 or 3 weeks off?
No, he was on the bench last week, and he's had a week, hasn't he? So you would presume that.
He'll be raring for it then, mate. Definitely.
Just a word on Wellens. Wellens is the academy product at Man United. Quite a few clubs after him. Whilst nobody can confirm it, the rumour is that he played a friendly behind curtains friendly against Mansfield that we lost 4-1, by the way. Nobody's on about the result. They're on about Wellens played, but we lost 4-1 against Mansfield. But anyway, does that show a bit of ambition? Or I've seen also negative people saying, well, if he's a young lad and he can't make it at Man United, why do we want him? But I suppose that is a slightly different level that what we're at. And let's just get the facts right. We can't appease all fans. But a youngster that spent majority of his time at Man United surely is that showing ambition for you, Ian?
Yeah, I look at, if you think now, a signing from, obviously Duff's still got links with Burnley, so we're tapping some of them up. We got Gomez from City, didn't we? Tedic from City. Yeah. You're going to United and saying, can we develop some of your young lads? You go into Ireland and picking somebody up from Cork. We've gone down to Forest Green, got Cadden. All these players now. At least it shows that the scouting system or that side of things is looking far and wide and looking at different options rather than just saying, let's go to Europe and third division farmers division somewhere else. Yeah. I think that's a positive thing that we're looking at a right mixture.
Yeah, and I mean Brexit means Brexit, so it's very hard sometimes to bring these players over from Europe. And might as well mention it. We said it earlier, Steve. It started on a social media account, a Preston North End fan base that said that they're looking at a League One right wing back. They've put two and two together and came up with maybe 4.5 or 5 because Jordan Williams has played under the Preston North End boss before. Is it fair to say that if you look at who we've brought in, and Ian just said we've been to Ireland, we're looking at Man United, we're looking at Burnley, but then if you were to lose Jordan Williams, it's 2 steps forward and maybe 4 steps back again?
Well, yeah, because we've been looking for a right wing back for cover all season. So to actually sell then your only right wing back does seem a little bit odd. Now I know Duff has said that nobody's going to be leaving. Hopefully nobody's leaving this window. So that to me I'm just wondering whether Preston are a little bit preemptive. Maybe it's something that might happen in summer. I personally, I just can't see, because it don't make a lot of sense. Don't make a lot of sense to me that we need cover in that position, not to sell the only player that can play in that position.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, Ian, because you know how it works. If they know there's interest, are they now looking maybe for somebody else? And then it's that domino effect of Williams goes, money comes in, we spend some of that money on bringing somebody in. But it would unsettle things, wouldn't it? Because Williams was injured, he came back, he made an instant impact. I mean, it's fair to say that going forward, Jordan Williams is, I know there's questions at times about his defensive duties, but definitely going forward and getting service to our strikers, his rate is second to none. To lose somebody like a Jordan Williams, does that sort of change your views on where we should or could finish this season? Because he is an integral part, isn't he, of this team?
Yeah, he's a regular first teamer, and it's all well and good, your fringe players who are not getting football. I think Honda Mark, had he not been fit, would have probably gone out on loan. Moon's gone out on loan. And you do trim your squad, but not unless somebody comes in with a stupid offer for your first 11. And Duff said it all in the build-up to January. Right wing back and striker is where we want to strengthen. So it'd be suicide to go and say, oh, we're actually going getting rid of our first team right wing back. And Edwards has gone back to Stoke injured. So I think it's probably, unless it was a stupid offer, I think Williams will be here.
Yeah. Let's look ahead then, because between now and our next recording, 2 matches. We've got one at home and one away. So first of all, Saturday, Accrington at home. Now, it's not that long ago that we played Accrington, and in his press conference today, he says, all over the pitch, they're in your face, they make it really, really difficult. After a run of the last 3 matches that we've lost and conceded 8 goals and scored none, I noticed Anthony is probably not the easiest opposition to try and turn that form around again, isn't it? Because they're difficult to break down, Steve.
You know what? And I know we say it every week. We don't want to be negative every week if we can just help it. But this prediction lark is getting quite difficult, because you just don't know what the team's going to do on the pitch. Whether it were a decent performance at Charlton or not, we got nothing out of it. Accrington's going to come on Saturday. Our morale must still be quite low, I would have thought, because for me, if I'd played well and lost, I won't be right happy. I'd be up for it, but I just don't think there's enough players at the minute. And I know we've mentioned 1 or 2 previously that just don't seem to be up for fight. Because I think that's always the problem with loan players, proven by one in particular, that if you've got a parent club, you go out to play for somebody else, and you're either going to put work in or you're just going to steal a wage, to be quite honest. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what team he puts out as well. But I think this predictive lark now is getting a little bit, you need a crystal ball or crystal balls. Take your pick.
And of course, one of the casualties of the Charlton defeat was Josh Benson, Ian. He's out for quite some time. This is a couple of months, I think they reckon. We had a plethora, I like that word, of midfielders. Well, that seems to be shrinking as well. Now Benson's out. I know I've said it in the last few weeks, but we'll keep saying it. Is it time for some others, like Steve said, to really step up now and show what they're capable of? Because we're now getting to, for me, January, but mainly February, halfway to March, it's that do or die. You either consolidate where you are and you're going to compete, or you start falling away, because other teams are strengthening around us. There's not that big a gap between us and the teams, below us. It's either going to peter away in a mid-table position. Now, mid-table at the start of the season, I would have taken, but not when you were 4th at one point, because that, you know what I mean? So is it time for others now to step up? And talking about the mindset that Steve had, who on the pitch, who are the leaders, who can we look up to integrate these young lads and put a performance on and get a result on Saturday,
Ian? It's only really Mads and Luke O'Connell, isn't there, who's going to, that you would look at that squad and say they're the guys who are going to help people into that squad. It is time for the Leketches, the Josh Martins of the world to step up. Norwood to maybe pull his socks up a little bit, if truth be known. I think Accrington is the right fixture. I think we're giving him too much credit. I think they'll only have a couple of hundred fans. It's not like that way, and it's going to be full and it's going to be a tough game. I think it's a perfect game for us. Derby are playing Bolton, so we're going to gain on some of them if we win. I think it's a perfect weekend for us to get a home win and get back on track. I'm confident we'll win this one, he says.
And then, I mean, that's Saturday. We know the game will go ahead. We've got on the soil. So no matter what happens, that will game ahead, because we don't want more postponed games. Because obviously the weekend after FA Cup, so that one, the Wednesday match will be later on. Very little recovery time then, Steve, before we travel to Exeter. Tuesday night, is it, or next week? I mean, I think when it's long travel, it's bad anyway. But when it's midweek, I always think it's almost like double the damage, if you know what I mean. I'd rather have that trip on a Saturday than on a Tuesday night, because by the time they're back, Wednesday is lost. They're already into Thursday ready. Obviously, no game at the weekend. Looking at two fixtures then: Accrington at home, Exeter away. Realistically, what should we, as Barnsley fans, expect? And what do you think Barnsley can deliver, points-wise, from these two?
Realistically, we should be expecting 6 points. That's what we should be expecting. Is that what we're going to get? I doubt it very much. Yeah, like Ian says, Accrington on Saturday could just be what we need, which would then set us up for Tuesday. It is. I mean, it's a rate trek down Exeter, isn't it? And I take my cap off to anybody who's actually going to travel down to watch the match. I'm assuming they'll go down Monday and stay over. I can't, the professional footballers. So I'm sure they're not going to travel down on the day and play a game and then come back at middle at night. I think the Exeter game will all depend on what happens on Saturday. If we can get something Saturday, I think they will carry it on to Exeter. But if we have another debacle on Saturday, I can see both games being a shit show, to be quite honest.
Yeah, because then you start talking about self-belief as well, because then it becomes an oil tanker to turn around. You're on that crest of a wave.
But he's not playing, is he? I thought he said he were injured. Don't tell me things like that.
But it's sort of like it's their mindset as well, because you can't help but feel that every time they get on the pitch, they're going to concede at least 2 goals and not score any. And I worry about. I know we talked about Mads and Connell. I just don't see anybody picking them up. But who knows? Listen, they've had a week off. It could well be. We're halfway in January. There's about a week and a half. Well, just under 2 weeks left. Sorry, of the window. We've got 3 in. We're still waiting, aren't we, on that elusive striker? What else needed? Now we've added a right wing back into the squad. Where should the focus be? I know what you're going to say, but I'm going to ask you anyway, Steve. Where should the focus be now, sir?
Well, I'm going to throw a rate spanner in works now and get slagged off uphill and down Dale, but...
I know what you're going to say, aren't you?
I know what you're going to say. Go on, drum roll.
All right, then.
Go on, tell us.
I think it's about time we had some form of goalkeeping change.
Yeah, I knew you'd say a goalkeeper.
You mentioned this on I just make clear. You mentioned this on the WhatsApp to say actually some of these goals, and especially on this
that first goal for Charlton, I ain't being funny. That were kids could. My grandmother could have saved that. Do you know what I mean? Near post, goalkeepers shouldn't be laying it in near post. And I think the problem we've got is Collins is far too comfortable in his position. Walton, who I thought were going to be really good this season, has just not come through at all. And when he has played, crazy mistake his last game. And the other lad, we just really haven't seen anything of him, so we don't know out about him. But I just think we constantly, week in, week out, talk about centre halves, wing backs. We need a striker. We need a midfielder that's going to be creative. Yeah, we need all that. But I'm looking at it now just from a different point of view, and I'm thinking I've no confidence in goalkeeper, and that must affect back three as well.
Yeah, valid
So
point.
you were both right. Congratulations.
No, but it is a valid point, isn't it? In that is, Collins will. It feels like he gets to, and I know he made that. That you could say he probably could take the blame for that one. Listen, we've not been helped in 4 out of the last 5 matches that we've conceded a penalty. Whether that was a disputed one or not, that's easy for the opposition to score as well. We've not been outplayed as such all the time. Valid point, because I mean, Jamie Searle was brought in, and I thought that meant one of them was going. I honestly thought it might be Walton and Searle fighting. Collins might go, but we've got 3 goalkeepers. Searle doesn't really get a look in. Collins very much seems to be number 1, unless when it's a cup game, and then it's Walton. But and I always wonder why they do that for a cup game. Is that to keep Jack Walton happy? Because is it wrong to say to Collins, I think you need to have a week out, let Jack show us that this is your spot?
It's difficult with goalkeepers, isn't it? It really is. And Steve has a very valid point. Absolutely agree. I agree that there should be some criticism levelled at the goalkeepers, Walton and Collins. I just don't think it's the biggest problem we've got at the minute for me. While it is an issue, or it is becoming an issue, do you make it worse by dropping Collins and then, per se, putting Searle in? And suddenly they've all got to get used to each other, and you ruin his Collins' confidence and stuff. So I just don't think it's the biggest issue at the minute. But yes, he's always got one in on him, and Collins he can always drop a clanger in a game.
Yeah. We have got backup for Collins. It's not like we need to look for yet another goalkeeper. Where should the search be thoroughly focused now, though? Is it that striker again, to put a bit of pressure maybe on Cole and on Norwood up front as well, to say, I think Marsh is still out injured, but obviously he's still around, isn't he? Because he came back, didn't he? From
is it time for Jallo though now? Do you think?
Well,
boys, do you think
he's been called up. He's been called up, hasn't he, with the Portugal under-18s? And in fairness, Portugal as a footballing nation, if you take Ronaldo away, that's huge, isn't it? For an academy in a town, here we go, like Barnsley, to have a product being called up. I always wonder, like, is there ever a good time? I know I said before a couple of shows back, when you're losing 2-0, should you really be putting him on? But then, if he's going to be a footballer, he should just be playing football, I suppose, shouldn't he? And playing with man.
If he's good enough, he's old enough. If he's good enough, he's old enough. Yeah. Simple as that. Yeah. But same old story. And I know we harp on about it. Your strikers aren't going to score if they don't get any decent service.
Yeah.
And for me now, whatever you think, whatever position you want to strengthen, I'd really like to see Barnsley push Botart and get a midfielder in who's got a bit more about him than all our 3 or 4 put together. I really would, even if it means spending a lot of money.
Well, Max Watts has come in. He's probably the striker that they might see him as, the striker that we needed, or that reinforcement that we needed. Ball-playing midfielder to actually unlock what our strikers can do. It has to be number 1. I mean, I know, but you're looking for that Redfern, that Hignett, that Howard Hurricane type, the legends on there. And Barnsley, for a long time, it was always like our number 8, so our central midfielders that became captains, that led by example on and off the pitch. It's time for another one of those, but where do we find them, Ian?
Good question. If I knew that, I'd be in the scout. I'd be a scout. It is. You can have as many strikers. We've said this before. You can have as many strikers as you want, but if you don't give them any service, there's no point, is there? I'd like to see Cole and Jallo put together, big man, small man type little combination. I'd like to see. I hope Phillips can, now he's come back into the squad, can be that guy who opens defences up. But you're putting a lot of pressure on him. Because he's the only one who's capable. We need to start seeing more from Lekech, people like this. But yeah, I think long term we need him. I don't know if you're going to get one in January, but long term, summer, we should be looking at that type of midfielder who can open up defences for the summer window, definitely.
Yeah. I'm sure behind the scenes, work will be ongoing. And I'm sure by the time we record next week, they might have entered the building. They probably won't have done, but they might have entered.
Because there's no cash, is there? Let's face it. You look at what we've done in August. You look at what we've done in January. We couldn't afford. I think we just about afforded. They were interested in Brandon Asante, whatever, who went from Salford to West Brom. That was 300 grand. They never went for Alfie May, who was valued at 500 grand. They've paid 20 grand. There's no money in the coffers, is there? Let's face it. That's why it's all been loans and free. So we can't expect them to break the bank. Is probably about 100 grand, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and I think to put it in terms, I think some fans they're looking at magazines featuring Maseratis and Porsches, and we buy a second-hand Kia, and that's nothing against, but that's our budget, isn't it? That's hopefully a good buy for the money we had available.
Just got to manage our expectations in that respect, haven't we? We haven't got the money to even go and spend $500,000.
No. Not when relegation cost us what it did. Right, it's finished then. Ian, you go first. 2 matches. I want you to tell us how many points we'll gain in those 2 matches and which Barnsley player will score the most goals in those 2 matches.
Jeez, you dropped that one on me. 4 points out of 6. Beat Aki 2-0. 1-1 draw at Exeter. And the one who scored the most goals. Ooh, crikey.
Barry Cotter. Get quick.
Watters. Let's go for Watters. He'll come on and he'll play to the max. Do you like that?
And I suppose, Steve, these new players that have come on, they don't feel the pressure of having lost the last 3 and not scored. So maybe it is new blood that's needed. And I would start him personally. But go on. Let me guess. Does Matt Anderson feature in your forecast?
He might do. You know what? Saturday is such an important game, I think, for me. If we can get a good performance or a crap performance, but we get 3 points out of it, that's where hopefully motivation can start again. So I'm going to go for a really scrappy, horrible, damp, wet, cold 1-0 win, which will be a scrappy tap in at back post by Devante Cole. But I think that will be the boost that we put your arms down. That will be the boost that we need for Exeter. And I think we could go down to Exeter, and I think we can win down there. Probably a couple have got 2-0. And yeah, I'd like to see. It's about time Anderson scored. I'm sick of sticking up, fat lad.
I'll surprise you all then. 4-0 Saturday.
Oh, I thought you meant for both games.
No, 4-0. We'll get an early goal, and I think he's had long enough now. This is more my heart talking to my head, but why not rule by my heart? Never done me any harm. Anyway, 4-0 Saturday. Cole 2 goals, and 2-0 away Exeter. And I think this could be that turnaround that we needed. But 2 clean sheet, 6 points, and that's what I'm going for.
When are you back on your medication, man?
8:30, I take my next lot.
Talking of money, though, they're on about buying another team, aren't they? Our investment group team in Poland now.
It's weird, isn't it? That as a group, as owners,
is that 8? Will that be 8 to 7 clubs?
Yeah, something like that, isn't it?
What I will, if I remember, what I will do next week, we'll pick that up. I will have a look at where all these teams are, because at one point, if you remember, they had all these teams.
It were on Twitter today. Twitter today. Somebody put it on. Denmark, Belgium.
No. I mean, where these teams currently are in the league. It's all right buying all these clubs. But
I think 3 was it 3 or 4 got relegated?
Yeah. Oh, they're all low down.
Non-C got relegated. They've got a team in Holland now as well. That's what we could do, Steve, next year. A trip to support, Conway and Chen Li, and we'll go and watch Den Bosch at home. Hardcore.
Well, apparently they've got shares now. They've bought some shares in Kaiserslautern.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've actually heard of them. So,
I'm surprised they've not done like a pre-season friendly, amongst their own clubs. Like Barnsley go to Holland or Germany, do pre-season.
Maybe they're going to set up their own Super League. And it could be them teams.
But if you remember, a couple of seasons ago, wasn't it Moon Wolf that went to Esbjerg? and they play there actually together, and that worked. As in, they played in a league against, in a professional league, rather than playing against under 23s. It was like man's professional football, and I'm sure that will have done them the world of good. But it's just weird that they've got money to buy yet another club, but they don't seem to be. And I know they can't just splash millions, but it goes quiet.
A few £100,000 won't be too hard.
That's all it needs, isn't it?
No, exactly. And it worries me that it's like this, isn't it? We want fan engagement, then it goes quiet again. Then we do really well, and you don't hear them. And now it's gone quiet again.
Well, that's it. There's a strike. Bolton's just sold one of their strikers, which has been a bit of a surprise. Afalan. They've sold him for 500 grand. He's gone to Germany. He's gone to some second division side in Germany. 500 grand. He's been scoring in this division, but we can't afford it.
But it's taken us 5 years to get bloody letters painted outside, so don't expect old sparkling coming in.
That's it.
Fair point, well made.
They won't be painted again. So we'll meet up again next week. Let's see how we fared against Accrington and that long away trip midweek against Exeter. Ian, as always, thank you very, very much for your time. Please follow Ian on Twitter, Tigers blog. Have you got anything, any opposition ones done that are coming out in the next couple of days?
No, we couldn't find an Aki fan to come on. I don't think there's that many of them. So, but I'll try and get an Exeter fan. There's a few coming up, few games. So yes, we'll do that again.
Thank you. And of course, Stevie, is it Stevie 1965 on Twitter? Very outspoken.
Tell everybody so everybody can have a bloody dig then, can't they? Yeah, it is, yeah.
Please make sure you follow him. You've been listening to the Reds Report, powered by the Best of Barnsley, and part of the network. What is it? The TalkSport network.
No.